Hey guys, welcome to another episode of On the Block, our spread pick list for the NFL. Joe here with Igor. We're in week 4,
Week 4 it is.
and getting a little bit interesting, I guess, for most teams. Cleveland has a big test this week, divisional matchup against Baltimore. We'll get to that. Tennessee, my squad looked like trash last week on the Thursday nighter, which we talked about. Big week 1 win against Cleveland. Haven't really done much since. Your Patriots have obviously cut Antonio Brown and still look great, even though they didn't cover last week against the Jets. Um, who else? Rams are still looking good.
Rams look good. I mean the Packers should be 4-0, but they messed up on Thursday night.
And I took Philly, and like I said, it was just I wasn't really sure if Philly was going to win, but there was they'll always throw out those stats, and they said was it teams that start off 1-3? Would they have been 1-3 or 1-2 after that?
They would have been 1-3. They won at Washington and then lost they lost to Detroit, and then they had lost the week previously as well.
Yeah, so and especially considering they had won the Super Bowl just a few seasons ago, started the season off 1-3, chance of making the playoffs not too good. And I just thought with their backs against the wall, I know you know that I like Rodgers, I just don't really love that team. And I said, hey, Philly has a lot more to play for here than the Pack do. I love them against the spread, and they ended up covering the game. But let's get into this week. Let's start off with the week 1 we have right here on the slate. It's Tennessee at Atlanta. Atlanta favorites by 3.5. I'll go first.
That is your squad. You go first.
um, Going into the season, when I looked at the Titans' schedule, I don't remember off the top of my head, but when I looked at it as it started, I was kind of not enthusiastic about how the season was going to play out. Not a big Mariota fan, as most people know that know me. The O line's been terrible. Our left tackle's actually got suspended for sauce. PEDs. I believe it was a 4-week suspension. So weak O line got even weaker. Mariota's been running for his life every game. And after that week 1 win against the Browns, like I said, they haven't really showed me much. They lost against Indy in week 2, which they never beat Indy. They always beat Jacksonville, and I didn't like them going into Jacksonville. I'm not a big Minshew fan. I think that we can talk to that if you want a bit later, but the guy's played 2.5 games or whatever. People think that he's the next Tom Brady. But getting back to Tennessee, I just don't like what they're doing. I love Henry. Um, they're wideouts. AJ Brown's been pretty decent, I guess, for an early second round pick. They have some weapons. Corey Davis has not been great so far. I'm not sure, and that's another thing. I'm not sure if it's just Mariota can't get him the ball or what it is. But as you can tell, I'm fading Tennessee this week. I like Atlanta. I always like Atlanta at home. I like them against Philly. That's who Philly ended up losing to that last game when Julio Jones had that big 80-yard touchdown to end the game.
Sunday nighter.
But yeah, I'm going to go with Atlanta. I think that Atlanta is a pretty decent team. I think that they do have a shot to make the playoffs, especially with the Saints losing Drew Brees in that division. So I'm going to take Atlanta minus the 3.5. And to be honest, I think that this one might be a laugher. I love Tennessee's defense, so that might keep them in the game. And as bad as Atlanta's defense is, it's not great. I just don't think that Tennessee's going to be able to put up too many points against Atlanta. So I'll take Atlanta in the 3.5.
I'm actually gonna do a little rub of Portugal the Titan pig over here, and I think that Tennessee actually has a decent chance not only to cover. It wouldn't stun me if they won. I mean, you're right that the last couple of weeks has been pretty rough, especially considering they did what they did to the Browns in Cleveland, which was pretty surprising. But there's something about, again, the line is really, considering how badly Tennessee struggled. The line is a small line, so you can see that Vegas isn't, because again, the home team always usually gets 3 points. That's how usually it goes. The 3.5. I think the Titans. I just can't see a 1-3 start there after that what happened in week 1. Though again, if it does happen, I don't know. It's one of those games where I think it could be 50-50. And usually in those games, if it's more than 3, I usually go with the line. I can see it being a field goal game, and I don't think they'll get blown out. And being able to be a field goal game, and we're doing spreads here, I'm gonna take the Titans to cover there. And again, I can see it going 3 points either way, but I think that'll be a close game because I don't think Atlanta's been that great.
They haven't.
In a sense, so again, it wouldn't be a stunner if Atlanta lost the game. So I'm gonna take the Titans to cover more so because I think they have a lot more to offer than what we've seen the last couple of weeks. And again, teams that are especially what happened in Jacksonville, they'll be hungry out there. I'm gonna take Tennessee to cover.
And speaking of coming off Jacksonville, they've had about a week and a half off, right? So
exactly.
they're well rested. So that might be why the line is a little bit lower than people might think. Let's go to Washington at the Giants. Daniel Jones.
Danny Dimes.
He got a lot of people. A lot of people, for whatever reason, maybe just because it's the Giants and what New York fans do, whether it be the Knicks or the Giants or anybody, they just boo draft picks, and they didn't like Daniel Jones when they took him. But he looked great. I think he was the first quarterback in I don't know how many years to have 2 rushing touchdowns and two throwing. They said that Eli has never done that in his life. Not to be surprised. Not a mobile quarterback, but I don't know if like this is another one where the line's kind of fishy. I don't think Washington's covered at all this season. They haven't looked good. Their quarterback is absolutely terrible. We talked about that already. Keenum. And just because, like I said, I sometimes what I'll do is I'll look at the spreads and see which team hasn't covered in a while. And this year we've both been doing pretty good against the spread. I was 9 for 12. I'll post that a little bit later on my ticket because I do have some proof. But that's kind of how I'm going at lines this year. It's not necessarily which team has more momentum, which team's good, because you can win and not cover. And based on that little logic that I'm using, I'm going to go with Washington here to keep this within a field goal. And as bad as they've been, they might even pull this off because it's not like the Giants are a good team anyways.
I'm gonna go counter to yours as well. I think I love the line at 3. That would have been I think perfect. At 3.5, I'm a little bit more skeptical because the Giants defense isn't great. There's no Saquon Barkley for 8 weeks. Again, it's Danny Dimes and Sterling Shepard and then a few other individuals. Evan Ingram had a really good game last week. I just don't trust the Washington team on the road. I think their defense is also, I think, the last in the league. So again, it's going to be, I think, a high scoring.
Washington's defense?
Yes.
And I think I was going to say quickly, I think that Washington's defense, I think that they're pretty decent. I think that the reason why they might be so bad statistically is because their offense is never on the field.
That's very true. I mean, I'm going to take the Giants will win the game by a touchdown. I think that'll be the result. So I'll take them to cover. But again, I would have loved to have the line at 3. Would have given me a little bit more confidence in terms of the spread. But I'll take the Giants by a touchdown. That they'll win that game.
Okay. Especially like you said, Saquon Barkley out.
It's gonna be tough, but again, I just don't trust a lot of what Washington does either. And I mean, they have been pretty bad, and the coach is probably gonna get fired in the next couple weeks. Gruden. It's a tough situation.
All right, moving on to a bit of a tougher game here. Chargers, biggest line of the week. Chargers at Miami.
So bad.
The mighty Miami Dolphins. 15 points. This is one of those games where I said, just based on the fact that Miami hasn't covered yet, and I thought they were going to cover last week against Dallas, couldn't pull it off. I think it's going to be a really low scoring game. I think that these players are getting pretty angry, and I don't know how they're going to be going forward, but these guys, a lot of guys requested trades after week 1 and 2, and now I think that they're kind of stuck there and they don't want to be on the wrong side of history being 1-16. I think they are going to give a pretty decent effort going forward. Josh Rosen didn't look great last week. But he's better than.
They had a good first half.
Guy, right?
They had a good first half against the Cowboys. The second half is really where it just got out of hand.
And Miami doesn't have too many weapons, so it's going to be tough for him to really get anything going. And the Chargers have a great defense, a great front seven. So it's going to be tough. They're going to be coming after him. But like I said, logic is not really used in this thinking. I'm going to go with Miami to cover just because I think that they're going to have to cover eventually. And the Chargers travel. It is a road game for what it is. Going from California to Miami, it's a bit of a distance. And give me the Dolphins plus 15. Die, Dan, die. For all of our Ace Ventura fans.
I'll go on that point. I think Snowflake would be a better individual than some of the Dolphins players right now. But anyway, laces out. Anyways, I'm gonna go again against your point. I think the Chargers are coming off of 2 losses, some bad losses. If I want to be accurate, the Detroit loss and Houston. This is a game. Melvin Gordon's gonna be back. The Chargers haven't looked good. This is one of those games where I can see a breakout performance from Rivers and company. The Dolphins are so bad. Again, I don't like double digits, but then again, considering it was over 3 touchdowns the last week, 15 is an improvement.
It's
technically, it's a bit of an improvement. I just don't. I see the Chargers having a breakout game, scoring over 30 points. I don't know how much of the Miami will score. I'm gonna take the Chargers to win the game by a good number of touchdowns. I'm gonna take the Chargers to cover there because I think they're due for a big game, and this looks like a great spot for them. So I'm gonna take the Chargers to really demolish them. once again.
For all the reasons you said, they're due for it, and that's
Yeah.
why I like Miami. But we'll see. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers win by 14 and don't cover. Right, like something like that could and most likely will happen. Maybe a late garbage touchdown from Miami. Let's move on. We're still trying to agree on the game here. You go first. So we got the Raiders at the Colts. It's Colts -7.
I think that the Colts have been probably a surprising story so far. I thought, like I said last week, that they would struggle. Oakland after that first game against the Broncos, I think we sort of saw how bad the Broncos were, not how really good the Raiders were. Again, Indy at home. I like what I've seen so far. Touchdown game. I'll definitely take the Colts there. I think it's a good line. I'll take the Colts to cover there by 7 points. Jacoby's been pretty good. I think it's a game that they should win pretty well. So Colts it is.
Give me Josh Jacobs. I like what he's done so far. Oakland has not obviously looked good, even in week 1, like you said. The Broncos are absolutely terrible. But even last week with the Colts were, I think, one of my, if I didn't say it on our show, I think that they were part of my 4-pack. But the Colts were my lock, I think, for last week. And I was surprised that Atlanta, they scored some late points. I think it was 27-24, something like that. It was a 1 or 2 point spread, so Indy still did cover. I don't see them covering back-to-back games at home. Oakland hasn't covered since week 1 when they won. I'm going to take the Raiders. Carrs look pretty decent. They don't have too many weapons anywhere except Jacobs, but he's been absolutely incredible. Now, Colts defense, I guess to be honest, ever since Peyton Manning's left, they've been pretty decent.
Yeah.
And this year they're really good. They have an all-pro middle linebacker, and just even their corners, like everywhere there has been pretty. Their defense has been pretty tight. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think that Indy still walks out with the win, but I'm going to take the Raiders to cover in this one. We'll stay in the AFC South. Houston Texans, as usual, a lot of hype. Seems like the hype's been dying season after season, but still 5-point favorites against the Cam Newton-less Carolina Panthers. He's not back this week, right?
No,
not like it really matters anyways, because
I think he's still gone. He might be gone for quite a while. Actually, they don't know when he's going to be back. But the backup QB did a really good job last week. Yeah, they got a big win. It was against Arizona, and they covered nice and handily. Again, I think this is a different animal. I'm gonna take the Texans to cover. I think they're they again 5-point spread at home. I think they'll have a better aerial attack here in terms of the one concern I do have about Houston is that the lack of a running game is a bit of a problem. I'm not.
Lamar Miller went down too.
Yeah, once Lamar Miller went down, it hasn't been all that great. And then again, it does end up being Deshaun Watson and not much. I think it's Duke Johnson and yeah. And am I thinking? Is it Carlos Hyde?
Yeah, I think they do have Carlos Hyde. They got him in a
they're not. That's not much of a situation there, and I don't know. It's a tough spot.
But their old line's been bad too, right? Like that's why they won out and got from Miami Tunsil.
Yeah.
Right, like.
So again, it's a game that I think is a manageable game at home. Carolina coming off a big win. I'm gonna take Houston to cover the 5 points.
I like Houston going into this one. Once Carolina screwed me out of my survivor pick, there's just some things I never forget, and I'm never gonna forgive Cam Newton or the Panthers for losing at home on a Thursday night to Tampa Bay, who's terrible. Tampa's terrible, and so is Carolina. Carolina, I think that they got better once Cam Newton went down because he's been atrocious for a few seasons now. I like Houston by 5, but something in my mind is like telling me not to go with it. But I'm gonna stick with the Houston pick just because I need to take some favorites here too. And Houston's defense obviously is really good. So is Carolina's, but I just think Houston at home, their fans are usually pretty rowdy. Deshaun Watson and Hopkins probably gonna go off there. I'll take Houston on the 5. Second closest team to Toronto, Detroit Lions. Gonna get a big test today with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs coming into town. Detroit coming off a big win. Do you think they're going to ride that momentum, or do you think there's a letdown here for them?
Well, I mean, they were both undefeated teams. Detroit's basically got 2 wins and a tie.
Against Arizona.
So again, it's not 3-0, but you know what? It's an interesting situation because again, realistically, they should be 3-0 because they should have won the Arizona game. They really choked it away late. Again, offensively, KC is the better team, but without question. I don't trust that KC defense all that much.
They have been better. They have been better. Even last week against Baltimore, holding Lamar Jackson and those guys. I think they kept them. They kept them under 30, which for them is
Yeah,
really
but they didn't cover at the
They
end.
didn't cover.
They didn't cover at the end, and that was a home game too. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna be a bit of a surprise. I'm gonna take the Lions to actually cover the spread here. That they'll hold it within a touchdown. I don't think they'll win the game, but I think it'll be a close game. Because again, I think like Detroit's been playing much better this year under Matt Patricia. And yeah, I'm comfortable to say that 7 point game. I'll take the underdog here. I'll take the Lions to cover, which is never usually a good thing, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna take them to cover.
I'm not comfortable with Detroit at all. I took them last week. That was one of my surprise picks. I took them to cover against Philly, and they ended up winning the game. I believe it was like a 6.5 or 7 point spread.
Yeah.
Coming home, I look at the line at 7.5. Kansas City didn't cover last week. Their defense, you don't like them. I think that they're a big improvement from last season. I think that they might just destroy Detroit in this game.
Wow.
Detroit has had a running game since Barry Sanders left. And they could use one against this Kansas City defense because I think that their run defense is weaker than their pass D. But I think that Stafford's going to be forced to throw the ball a lot here, which sure the guy puts up numbers, but he's also got into a little bit of interception problems as well. I think Mahomes is going to shred this defense, whether it be short passes, long passes, a bit of everything. I don't see this game being close. And to say that on the record, it might be like a 21-point win.
Wow.
For Kansas City.
Confident.
For Kansas City to come out here and just kind of reestablish themselves as the powerhouse that they are. So I'll go Kansas City on the 7.5, and I think it's going to get ugly. AFC North matchup: Baltimore at home, -7 against Cleveland Browns. Two teams kind of in totally different directions, which you have to assume most public money is going to be on Baltimore, and I'm going to bet that you're probably going to take Baltimore too. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, nothing will tell you that the Baltimore defense is going to get Baker Mayfield problems. You saw last week that I think there was some crazy stat where he was really good when he got rid of the ball within 2 seconds, and if he held on to the ball more than that, it was a disaster zone. The Ravens defense has been pretty stellar. Lamar Jackson's been again, the KC game, they were literally a couple plays away from really tying that game or a 2 point conversion from really getting right back into it. I like them at home. I mean, I think Cleveland hasn't shown you anything that'll disprove what's been going on. Baker's been now all this overrated talk. I'm sure he's got a chip on his shoulder, but like again, he hasn't proven anything. And actually, like just like we mentioned who was that we mentioned earlier? There's a couple teams that have a really bad. Oh, we mentioned Philly beforehand. Philly needed that win against the Packers because their schedule is
really tough.
Is really tough for the first half, and they literally could have. They lost that game. They literally could have gone 1-6, maybe 1-7. They have a lot. Cleveland's in the same boat. They have a really tough schedule. I know they got to go. I think they have the Patriots soon enough, and there's some other really tough games coming up for them. And again, I don't see them winning this game. I think Lamar Jackson's been great. Baltimore at home, great defense, but I think we'll give Baker problems. Touchdown spread, which is a nice evened out number. I'll take Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I just don't see any reason not to take them. I haven't seen anything from the Browns that will jump off the screen.
See, the old me would have taken Baltimore here for all those reasons you said.
Okay.
Like, there's not much really. Why would you not take Cleveland? Cleveland, even though they only lost by what was it? The spread last week was 4 against the Rams. I believe they lost. It was less than 10, but it wasn't really that close.
No,
it was a goal line stand actually, wasn't it? I didn't watch the end of the game.
Well, no, they had an opportunity to get a touchdown, and then they had Baker threw. I think they ran a draw play on 4th and 8, which got really criticized because it was a terrible play for Chubb, and that pretty much cost them the game. There was a lot of bad play calling by Freddie Kitchens, and I think that's been one of their biggest problems. That he just isn't the right coach, and that situation hasn't worked out very well. So
wouldn't be the first time they picked the wrong coach. I just think here once again Cleveland's kind of due for a cover. They're off. You got to think the team's pretty pissed off because they could have won last week against the Rams at home on was it a Sunday nighter?
Yeah.
So coming off an emotional loss, I think that and Baltimore, like you said, they did cover last week against Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people were taking the Chiefs going into that game as well. I think that Cleveland's pass rush, especially with Myles Garrett, might give Jackson at least contain him a little bit. We saw him last week with some Madden type jukes that he pulled off. I don't think he's going to have that kind of freedom this week going against that Cleveland defense. Not like they're great, but I really like their pass rush. And Baltimore, Baltimore's typically one of those teams, at least they used to be, really good at home and dominant. I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland somehow pulls off a win here, just because it's a divisional game, and I think that, like I said, Cleveland's due for a win. I think that those guys, they know that if they lose any more games, their playoff chances are really going to dwindle away. Last week against the Rams, whatever, it's the Super Bowl losing team of last season. But you start losing games against Baltimore. These are games that you kind of have to make up, like Detroit did last week against Philly. If you want to make the playoffs, there's just some games that you have to win eventually, even when you're not supposed to. For that reason, I'll take Cleveland plus the 7. And like I said, they might even pull off that divisional matchup win on the road against Baltimore. Another division game here. Your boys, the Pats, at home against the Bills, who I don't know the last time they beat the Pats. It's got to have been since. Has Brady been there and they won?
There's a crazy stat. I think since Brady got into the league, he's got more wins than any Buffalo quarterback of the same time frame in that new era field. So remember, he only goes there once a year. So there's hasn't been. And then
you're telling me J.P. Lossman didn't get
J.P.
more wins?
Lossman, E.J. Manuel. Like, it doesn't matter who it is since Brady got there. He's only there once a year, and he's got more wins than any Buffalo Bills quarterbacks, and I think that will obviously change it. I think Allen's legit. Truthfully, this is as uncomfortable as I've ever been with the Pats going to Buffalo. The Bills are 3-0. The defense is playing really well. The Pats are a little banged up and injured in a lot of areas. I think Brady's got a calf. Julian Edelman's got a chest contusion. It's one of those things where the Pats usually drop a game early, and it hasn't happened yet, which, it's, again, I'm a little wary of what's going on because, again, the Bills have looked reasonably good. I mean, I took Cincinnati last week to cover because, I don't trust the Bills in certain situations. Do I think that the Pats will win the game? I do. Well, do I think it's going to be a close game? I also do that, and with a 7.5, I'm going to actually take the Buffalo Bills to cover that. I think what's been great on the New England end, and I was very critical of them last year, especially at the beginning of the year. The defense in New England has been outstanding.
Yep.
Again, they haven't faced top-notch competition, which is Steelers.
There's still teams that are.
Steelers are 0-3 as well, so they haven't faced any teams that actually have a win, which is them and
Miami and who's the other
Miami
team?
and the Jets last week. So this will be their first time when they face some decent competition, but that defense has been really, really good. Which Brady hasn't had that at all times, but I'll take the Pats will win the game, but it'll be within a touchdown, and that'll be then the Bills will cover it.
I think Buffalo might pull this game off. I'll take them. We'll go play a ticket after. I might take Buffalo to win, so which gives away my spread thing here. I'll take Buffalo on the +7. I was trying to think where do you think the public money would be on? You think that most people would be taking the Patriots here? Or you think that people are kind of turning their mindsets on the Bills?
See, I think that they'll looking at you see the records at what Brady does and so forth, but again the Bills they have a good stout defense, a lot of injuries. Everything is kind of wrapped up in a situation where the Pats usually drop a game early. That this would be one of those games where this could happen, and like I said, if it was 7, I might tilt me a little bit, but again, sometimes that half point to me makes a big difference because that's it's a touchdown situation, so you need more than a touchdown. And I think that is one of those situations where it was one of those bad beats. Well, if New England wins by 7, you don't cover because you need a half point.
Which is like the 15 chart.
Which
Miami too, I would say.
Which is a tough one. I think it's just one of those games where everything's wrapped up into a situation where the Bills could pull it off, and they need the game more than the Patriots. I believe because again.
They move into first place.
But again, but think about it, the Buffalo Bills being 4-0, that hasn't happened. Maybe it didn't even happen when Jim Kelly was around.
Them and the Lions could both be 4-0 this week, right?
Well, 3-0-1 perfect tie. This would be perfect, which is again lunacy.
Yeah.
And then you consider that the Browns were everybody's darling. Now the Browns are going to do big things, and the Browns can legitimately be 1-3.
1-3, yeah.
So is it a possibility? Yes. The Bills have also beaten teams that aren't exactly stellar. Yeah. I mean, they got Cincy. They beat the Jets and the Giants. No one that's going to probably make the playoffs, and no one so both teams haven't had a real test, so it'll be both real tests, and then we'll see if Buffalo's for real this week. Will Bill have something for them? Sure. And again, we lost the fullback, Devlin. Love Devlin. Lost him for pretty much a year with a neck injury. He does a lot of things for the running game. So again, we'll see. It could be one of those things where Buffalo keeps it close, well, the Patriots can blow them the
That's
heck out.
that's what I was gonna say.
But I'm leaning toward the Buffalo Bills containing it. They have the quarterback situation. I like Allen. He'll get that Brady record soon enough. He'll be around for a lot of years. They finally found a quarterback. It makes the division a little bit better. So again, I'll give the Bills the benefit of the doubt. And here goes the Buffalo Bills.
I'm gonna take the Bills too on the +7. And like I said, if I'm putting down some money, nothing serious, but I'd probably take the Bills to pull this off. I think that the stars are aligning for them to kind of win this game. Their running game's been pretty decent as well. Their defense, like you said, obviously was really good. Got out to was a 14-0 to Cincinnati. They ended up covering, but they won the game. And Buffalo's one of those teams too. Like other than New England, they're a totally different team at home than on the road, especially their defense. I feel, and like obviously, I'm going to take Buffalo on the 7.5, and we'll see what happens. But if we come back next week and New England wins 24-7, I wouldn't really be that shocked either.
Well, man, like I said, but the test for both teams, and I will see how things pan out. It'll definitely be the biggest game of the Patriots have played so far, and the Bills as well.
Yeah. All right, let's move to the West Coast. The Rams at home to Tampa Bay, the first of the 4 o'clock slates. We have the Rams by 9.5. I'll go first. Rams have looked great, minus week 1 against Carolina, which kind of shifted my Carolina thought not to get back to that pick once again, but I don't know how. I guess we just a little bit of week 1 rust. They don't play McVay doesn't play their starters. Pulled off just a 3-point win against Carolina. Since then, they've been dominant. Tampa Bay, maybe some people are still kind of high on that Thursday win. Last week, I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Tampa last week, they had a huge game.
It was the Giants. They lost to the Giants, right?
Yeah, because the kicker messed up, and then Carly Lloyd made that. They should have won against the Giants, but then he missed a 35-yarder or whatever it was.
Laces out.
Laces out, and then then that whole ad, and then I sent you, and so they should have really won the game last week, but the kicker, blew the game late.
I just think that the Rams' defense is too much. Probably one of the best defenses in the league. Aaron Donald looks like he's on his way, even though I think he only has 1 sack. When you're getting triple teamed and all that, right? Like it's kind of tough, but he's just opening up spots for other guys. And actually, Sue's on Tampa now, so that'll be a pretty pretty fun matchup to see, right? His old defensive tackle partner. I'm going to take the Rams on the 9.5. Whenever I take favorites and I'm eating the points, usually I'm pretty confident. I think that Tampa is really no match, especially Winston. He's looked terrible. I'm not really sure who's worse, him or Marcus Mariota, the 1 and 2 picks from what was like the 2013 draft. I don't want to get into that. I'm just getting a little bit heated. Give me the Rams by 9.5.
So like in my head, I mean, I really do believe that the Rams should win this game by 10 points at least. I'm a tad concerned in a sense that the Tampa Bay defense is a really, really good defense, and I've seen how Jared Goff performs against those type of level of defenses. I forget who it is. I think it's Shaq Barrett. He's got like 10 sacks already. He's just destroying people. I'm a little concerned because Goff, from what I've seen, and I think teams have. I saw it last week a little bit with the Browns. They've implemented that what the Patriots did in the Super Bowl to what the Rams are doing offensively. And it causes Goff a lot of problems at times. So I'm not completely like strengthened on this pick, but for some reason I think that the Bucks will cover this spread based on the fact that I think the defense will keep them decently in the game, and in the offense, Mike Evans went off last week. He won't do it this week, because I think he's got a lot. He's got Aqib Talib on him, and I guess it's Marcus Peters on the other end. He won't go off, but like their offense hasn't been terrible. And I don't know. I think that defense is going to give Goff a lot of problems. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay to lose the game, but cover the 10 points or the 9.5. So I'm a little bit I think they'll keep it reasonably close because that defense will give
they'll give
a lot of
problems.
Yeah.
I just don't think Tampa has enough offensive firepower to kind of to contribute in this spread and cover. I just think that the Rams defense is going to swallow Winston and everybody else. So, like I already said, I'll take the Rams on the 9.5. Divisional matchup: NFC West. Seahawks coming off a tough loss against the Saints. Remember that was a game last week where I was kind of I love Seattle. I love Seattle. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, no, I love Saints, and then I think I switched to Seattle last second. Right, and then I saw her after, and Bridgewater and his boys actually came through and pulled off the win. I like Seattle in this one. They haven't looked great so far this season. And typically they're another team that's really good at home. They haven't looked great at home this year, even with the Cincinnati in week 1 where they just escaped by 1 point, remember? I'm going to take...
Oh, they're at Arizona though, they're not at home.
No, but I'm saying in week 1
Oh,
against
week
Cincinnati,
one,
I'm saying
no,
Seattle
I
has a typically
they've been
Seattle's
better
really good at
on-
home and they really struggle
on
when
the
they
road.
travel.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But Arizona's one of the worst teams in
Yeah.
football. I think I said in week 1, I think they were going to win a game this year. They pulled off a tie in week 2 or whatever it
We
was.
won against
We
Detroit.
won against
Yeah.
Detroit. I think that Seattle's going to cover. I think Russell Wilson's really going to try and get this team back on track. Their defense still looks pretty decent, but give me Seattle on the 6. And as much as I don't like Arizona, I don't think they're going to be close in this one. I think Seattle might cover by a big one.
Yeah, I mean, I like the 6 points for Seattle's coming off a bad loss to the Saints last week. I mean, it was one of those situations where like the Saints, I thought again still have a prolific offense even with Teddy Bridgewater in there, and we'll get to that in a couple of picks. But Arizona, I think they've had their moments and so forth, but I think that the Seattle defense will give Kyler Murray a lot of problems, and I think Seattle's going to be hungry after that loss last week where they'll again, and I think Pete Carroll has something with Kingsbury as well, that there's some kind of college situation there, and I think I'm gonna take Seattle to cover the 6 points. I think they'll definitely win by at least a touchdown. So I think that's actually the probably the most generous spread of the week.
Do you think it should be a bit higher?
I think it definitely should be at least 7 points for Seattle. I'm surprised it's actually so low. That's probably one of the games that I would put down as one of my locks. Seattle by 6 is definitely gonna happen in my opinion.
Okay, let's move on to the Bears.
The Bears.
I don't like them. Not that I don't like them. I just think that with Trubisky at quarterback, who hasn't been great, I don't think he's really anything special anyways. Their offense just hasn't looked good. We know that they have a great defense. There's a big divisional matchup here, NFC North, Minnesota going to Chicago, 1.5. You talked about how home teams get that 3-point spread. So obviously Vegas they think that Minnesota's a better team. I don't really think that's much of a question. Minnesota has a better offense. And their Florida State running back, I draw blanks all the time. But
Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook, he had a torn ACL last year, the year before. I loved him. I thought he should have been Rookie of the Year, but he tore his knee that year. He's been incredible. Finally looks like his knee's healthy. They have some weapons, obviously a wideout as well. And I don't love Kirk Cousins, but I do think that Minnesota might. Chicago's defense will keep them in the game. They always will. Every game this year, doesn't matter who they play, Chicago's a great defense, one of the best. Their offense is terrible. And I'm riding with Minnesota in this one. The only week I think I didn't like Minnesota was against Green Bay, and I took Green Bay on that one. But other than that, I think that Minnesota should win most of their games this season. I think that they have one of the best defenses as well, and I don't think that the Bears are going to be able to move the ball against Minnesota.
So I'm again, like it's been the majority of these situations besides a couple of games. I'm actually gonna go with the Bears at home. I think they
Not surprised.
they're very again. I remember I told you even in the Washington game last week. I mean, like the Bears defense had them up 7-0. Like before, like you could even like go to the bathroom, and it was like the first minute it was already 7-0. I think the Bears defense. I think I can tell you don't really like Mitch Trubisky, and again he hasn't been very accurate. He had a pretty good game against that Washington defense, but it isn't very good.
Defense.
It's Washington's defense. Trubisky at this point, if they make him more of a game manager, I think it's a better situation there. It's always tough to take the road team in these divisional matchups, especially in that division. I think the Bears defense is not to that like 1980s level that they had it back in the day, but it's close. I really like that defense. I think it gives everybody problems. Anybody that goes there has significant issues.
Khalil Mack's still a monster.
It's a monster. As long as Trubisky manages the game, doesn't turn over the ball, and it just has a manageable game, I think they win that by again, their field goal kicking's been better.
They've had all kinds of problems.
Field goal kicking's been better. I'm going to take them to win a close game by a field goal, and I'm going to stick with the Bears on that one because, again, I still believe that they have a solid team all in all. And Mitch had some problems with some stellar defense, which Minnesota is, to be honest. And he looked much better against the worst team. But again, maybe that gives him some confidence. He's at home. He's comfortable. If it was in Minnesota, I would agree with you.